Palak? Rhythm? Is Rhythm here?
Yes.
All right. Then we have Shraddha,
Yes, ma'am.
Sukhman.
Ma'am.
Is Sukhman here in the chat room?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Prachi, are you here on the chat room? Sukriti, please note we don't have Palak, Diksha, and Apurva. All right. So we're going to start with the debate, but before we go forward with that, I'm going to just briefly go over what the forum and discussion is going to be like. We have 3 rounds in total. We will start with an introduction round where all the speakers will get 2 minutes and a follow-up question of 30 seconds. The second round is motion-based. The motion was discussed yesterday and decided. The follow-up, the speaker session can be of 2 minutes per speaker and a follow-up question of a minute. And in the end, we have a conclusion round of 2 minutes per speaker with no follow-up questions. Now, while we are going on with the discussion, if any viewer has any questions, they can send their questions in the chat box and we will consider them for a follow-up question. Similarly, for all the participants, if another participant is giving their speech, you cannot interrupt in between, you cannot unmute your mics, but what you can do is put in your questions in the chat box. Is that okay? Any doubts for anyone? All right.
Cool. Yeah.
Sukriti, there's a technical glitch coming at Apurva's end. Can you please help him sort that out?
Yeah, sure.
Right. But we will still start off and we will wait for Apurva to join in and then he can join in at the end. We will start off with Abhishek and you have 2 minutes. Sukriti will be timing you and we can start
Sure.
off. You can start now.
Am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Yeah. Thank you for the chance. So first of all, like I'll be talking briefly that what is the basic cause for the breakdown or the this economy in like at world economy in general and India at specific. So like when we talk about the India, it is not only the current lockdown due to the COVID-19 which has great impacts on the economy. But when we talk earlier as well, there were talks which were being discussed by the finance minister of India that there will be they will be selling of their PSUs like Air India. So this completely shows that the current situation is not the situation only because of the because of the COVID-19, but it is a chain of action. Like earlier, there was the situation when the PSUs were to be sold. The economic report and the Survey of India, the annual report, which completely stated that India is in a high fiscal deficit, and came the post COVID 19, then came the COVID 19 situation, which has further paralyzed the economy of India. Now, when we talk at a global level, it is very important for us to understand that again, it is not only the COVID 19, but when we talk about the early 2020 in January, when there were restrictions and sanctions being imposed by the United States of America on Iran, they impacted the global economy at a large scale. But then happened COVID 19, which is like hampered and is a major hindrance to the growth of economy for a lot of countries. But yes, the COVID-19 again come and paralyze the economy. Now, going without any like impacts or further discussions, I have formulated a kind of a small plan of action, or you can say a roadmap, which will particularly help us, like this can be implemented and this should be implemented in such a manner that it will help us to revive the economy. So when we talk about the decrease of the global economy, it is very important for us to understand these and keep in mind the statistics as well, that it is 3% to which the global economy has decreased. Now the roadmap includes it is basically a prioritized roadmap,
Sorry,
like what
Abhishek.
we
Your 2 minutes are up.
what
The first round.
this is not possible. I'm timing side by side.
I am also timing side by side. This round was for 2 minutes, right? Your 2 minutes are up.
So Kriti, just keep timing everyone, but let's not interrupt. Just keep timing, and we'll give the timing to the judges, and we'll let them judge accordingly.
Okay, okay.
All right, all right. You can continue, Abhishek. Just wind up.
I'll just take 30 seconds in order to just give the headings as to what can be done. So, like the first on the priority list is the prioritizing the healthcare facilities because this sector is having a lot of boom. Now, the second is the shared economic policy because there are countries, there are economies which are at a higher end, and there are economies which are emerging economies. So, both need to work in accordance and in coordination with each other. The third one is the multilateral cooperation because since there are countries which have lower impacts and there are countries which have high impacts, there should be a multilateral cooperation in each and every sphere of the economy so that this economy can be revived. Now, last but not the least is one thing that how in general the economy needs to revive is that there needs to be targeted measures and swift economic recovery by a lot of firms, by a lot of companies, by taking into the consideration a lot of having wage subsidies or by the role of banks in the country, the central banks, the fiscal policies which they are formulating. So all these needs to be collaborated together, and then this kind of a roadmap should be implemented at a global level in order to improve the economy of the globe. Thank you.
All right. Any questions for Abhishek? Nobody has sent in their questions. Sukhman, I'll request you to please mute your mic. The procedure we'll follow is we will be timing you. So Kriti will keep note of your timings and we will send the timings to the judges. Anyone who exceeds the 2-minute mark will be negatively marked for that. All right. Since there are no questions, we'll go on to the next speaker, that is Agrima.
Good. Am I audible?
Yes, you are.
All right. Good morning, fellow panelists. The COVID pandemic has become one of the biggest global health disasters we have lived through in our lives. Not just global pandemic, it has had deep economic repercussions and has triggered perhaps a deeper economic crisis. The coronavirus threatens to set off a financial contagion in a world economy with very different vulnerabilities than on the eve of the global financial crisis 12 years ago. In key ways, the world is now, or more deeply so, in debt as it was when the last big crisis hit. But the largest and most risky pools of debt have shifted from household and banks, which were restrained by regulators after the crisis, to corporations all over the world. Every sector of economy in every nation has come to a screeching halt. The dystopian reality of deserted airports and empty trains and thinly occupied restaurants is already badly hurting the economy. The longer the pandemic lasts, the greater the risk that sharp downturn morphs into a financial crisis. Central banks around the world are waking up to the prospect that the cash crunch can beget a financial crisis as in 2008. When markets fall, millions of investors feel less wealthy and cut back on spending. The economy slows. The bigger the market gets relative to the economy, the larger this negative wealth effect. For this, it is important to diagnose the scale of economic crisis accurately. In many parts of the world, are growing for policymakers to offer a similar state support to the fragile corporate sector. Just 3 months ago, we expected positive per capita income growth in over 160 of our member countries in 2020. Today, that number has been turned on its head. We have now a project over 170 countries which will experience negative per capita growth in this year. The bleak outlook applies to advanced and developing countries alike. This crisis knows no boundaries. Everybody hurts. My next point is about building a bridge to recovery. First, continue with essential containment measures and support for health systems. For many countries, particularly in the emerging and developing world, this means carefully relocating limited public resource particularly in the emerging and developing countries. It also means increasing the flow of resources to these countries. That includes the flow of vital goods. Second, a shield affected people and firms with large, timely, targeted fiscal and financial sector measures. Lifelines for households and businesses are imperative. We need to prevent liquidity measures from turning into solvency problems. We must seize this opportunity to finally address fundamental vulnerabilities of our economy. This broken economy must be rebuilt in ways to ensure a life of dignity to the most disadvantaged citizens. Thank you.
All right. Do we have any questions for Agrima? Right. So we have a question from Abhishek. Considering the fact that developing countries lack resources, who will be providing with these resources? Agrima, you have 30 seconds to answer.
Yeah, just a second. Considering the fact that developing countries lack resources, will be providing. See, so the problem is that at this point, at this scale that the pandemic has affected us, every country is going to be facing some sort of back. Like I said, everybody hurts. There is nobody who's gotten out of this comfortably. What matters is how you are relocating the amount of resources that you already have, and that see, this is what it happens. So the more advantage, like the bigger, and then the smaller, and then the smaller, and it falls like that. So as long as the resources are being allocated properly, I think that should solve the most of the problem of the resource problem.
All right. Next, we have Apurva on the line. Apurva, you're on next for the next 2 minutes. Apurva? I don't think Apurva can hear me. We will go on to the next person and then come back once he is available. Gurdeep is the next person in line.
Hello, am I
Yes.
audible?
Yes, you are, Gurdeep.
So first of all, what we really need to know is that the situation is a true crisis event. A true crisis event is a situation. A crisis never happen in isolation, first of all, and which means that it is a rather a chain reaction with set of other crises. Now, coronavirus has set off a crisis which we really need to take care of. That is an economic crisis. We are very well, aware of the impact of the economy on a global level. The recession was very, very evident because coronavirus has hit those countries which were majorly contributing to the majorly contributing to the global GDP. For example, USA, India, China, Japan, and Germany are the topmost 5 countries with the largest economies, and they in total contribute 55% to the global economy. Now, talking about India specifically, the positive cases have surpassed a number of 2 lakh, and which is even more than China. Now, what is even bad is that the economic impact along with the human costs involved. Now, the economic impact is very severe since the manufacturing sector that was already struggling is on a standstill. The industry sector has seen a decline of 16.7%, and then the core sector has seen a decline of 6.7%, and the exports have been slumped by 60%. Now, what do we really need is that the stimulus package is okay, but it is not really enough. What we need is a direct or an immediate solution to tackle down the economic crisis, because there are several small businesses that are really going to need help, and stimulus package is not enough because banks are neglecting loans to the MSMEs, for instance. And what I really suggest is that we need a forward-looking planning, because a true crisis event is something that is of absolute novelty, and we have no familiarity with it. And since we have no familiarity with it, we cannot depend on the past trends and past figures and past decisions. We need to look forward. We need to see what are the challenges and situations that it is creating for us. I believe that on the basis of forward-looking planning, we need to make an effective process. And the first step in the effective process is to group down people. Number one group should be of the several, we should just of the people who represent different interests of different sectors, different people. For example, migrants, and for example, the stakeholders, etc., businesses, etc. And the second step is to seek external help. That is, we need information on what is happening around the globe. We need to be aware of everything, every minimal thing that we need to be aware of. And the third group should be of the directly related to the economy. We need to know the key areas that are very important for the economy to operate. And the second step is to compile them all and start and kickstart the economy. Our ailing economy needs a CPR, and that CPR would be direct cash transfers. Direct cash transfers will help to generate demand. Stimulus package is merely something that will keep us sailing, keep the economy sailing, but this time the economy is dead. We need something to start the engine, and that engine is direct cash transfers, which is likely to create demand. And demand means more consumption. Consumption means employment, and then more income due to more production. Since this is the way we should deal with it, and we should also resist taking decisions without considering the political, economic, social, and global effects. Thank you.
All right. Do we have any questions for Gurdeep?
Ma'am, I have a question.
Yes.
So, what is the most important decision that we should take to revive the economy? I'm talking about Indian economy.
All right. So first thing that we really need to know is that in an event of true, when we are dealing with a true crisis event, there are competing priorities. When there are competing priorities, we don't know, because of the novelty, that what is right and what is wrong. So we really need to study on the basis of what are the challenges or situations that it is creating for us. I believe that immediate solution that we need is not the stimulus package, but a relief package. A relief package at a very lower level of the economy that will help to create or generate demand. For example, we can, first of all, the first step, that is direct cash transfers, can help generating demand, and the paranoia that is among the people. I think that would be very good to kickstart the economy, and then the stimulus package has to deal with it.
All right. Okay. Thank you, Gurdeep. Next, we have Palak. Is Palak available online? No response. We'll move on to the next person, Rhythm. Rhythm, are you here in the chat room? Yes, I think.
Am I audible?
Yes, you are. Yes, please speak up. You're audible.
I'm going to talk about how the world economy affected and how the India is affected. As we all know, Indian economy is faced with the COVID-19 and a global pandemic, which is now turned into a global pandemic, which is now turned into the economic pandemic. IMF and World Bank has stated it is not a pandemic, it will be the global recession too. According to UNCTAD, United Nations Conference of Trade and Commerce, they said there will be the $220 billion lost to the developing countries like India and China. Institution of International Finance downgrades its projection to 1.6% for year 2020. And for the Indian economy, there is a huge disruption for the demand and supply chain. Demand for the hotel, tourism, entertainment will be the minimal, and supply for the supply is disrupted due to the supply chain breakdown of the countries like China, US, UK, Italy, etc. So now we have a question: how can we revive this? But we can revive this by adopting some policies which are already taken by the other countries, such as cash transfer. Cash transfer is the best way to revive the Indian economy, because to revive the economy, person should need a money. The public of the country need a money. And at this time of recession, the person of the lower middle class and poor class don't have a money for it. And second can be the loan extension or exemption of a loan for few months till this recession, and because this create a stress on the middle class or on the lower middle class. So the tax relief can bring to the business classes for their revivals, for revive their industries. So I guess these were my points. Thank you.
All right. Are there any questions? Yes, there is. Abhishek is asking, how will the process of cash transfer work considering the population and the rural population of India? Rhythm, you're muted. Rhythm, your laptop is muted. You need to unmute yourself before you speak.
The cash transfer as we all know, population of the country is very high. The cash transfer can taken into by providing money into bank account of the government banks, the person who have accounts in. Though we know the prime minister had already targeted Jan Dhan khatas of the government to the lower middle class. But what for the we they can provide by the government banks, the person who have accounts in their bank, like State Bank of India, etc.
All right. So Abhishek says to that WGO don't have banking systems, but we are not going to take that up since we are on a crux of time. We are going on to the next speaker, that is Shraddha. Shraddha, are you here online?
Yeah, hello. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, I can.
So I would like to open my statement by saying by stating some stats that we were provided by the World Economic Outlook by the IMF, which projects that the global growth is falling to a -3% in this particular year 2020, which is greater than what we saw in the Great Depression and far more worse than the global financial crisis, as one of the members did mention in 2008. So the landscape that we are presented with right now has considerable amount of uncertainty as to how we will emerge from this lockdown. We have a dire outlook, and these crises are referred to as crises like no other, and they require a response like no other, be it firm bankruptcies, extended job losses, or financial strains that we are looking ahead at. So the governments all across the countries have come up with unprecedented actions, and countries are facing multiple crises, be it health, be it financial, or collapse in commodity prices. What we see the government doing is providing support to household firms and financial markets, which is something that is imperative to recuperate with the situation. On a global level, there is a collaborative effort that is needed to ensure that the world does not deglobalize. As in, there needs to be there needs to be assurance that the global supply chain is not broken down, because each country naturally is going to go in a shell to first cater to the needs of the domestic or their national interests first, before they even look about at a global level for what the pandemic has caused. So we need to see that there is a change in the perspective here, because there is a ripple effect if the countries only cater to their interest at domestic level and not see the global effect that all the countries in the world together will face. From it is easy to form a separate and esoteric ideologies at this point of time, but multilateral cooperation is imperative and vital right now. So when we talk about India's role, India at present is also conforming to majorly measures that only cater to their national interest or domestic interest, be it even the boycotting of the Chinese market or looking for markets that are alternative to the Chinese manufacturing or raw material markets, or be it the cash transfer that one of our members has mentioned about, or be it the employment, the measures that they are taking for improving the employment situations, that will be that will be certainly seen in near future because of the social change, the demographic change that we're going to see because of the movement and the migration of the workers from urban areas to rural areas. And all of this would require steps that, for example, there needs to be a change in the Magnarega programs that would help the rural employment, because now rural employment will be a major problem right now, considering the labor has migrated back to rural regions, and it might not come back to the urban areas anytime soon. And even the employment in urban regions is going to see a fall down, and hence the urban employment is also a major focus for the government right now. So all of this put together only makes up for what the country India in as an individual is doing for recuperating with this situation. What it needs to do in the end is to be more inclusive, to be more inclusive world, to be more inclusive and have a world defined by international cooperation and not just individualism. So that will be my.
All right. There is a question by Agrima which says, what is the effect of deglobalization that you mentioned?
So deglobalization, basically how deglobalization would translate from global level to domestic level as a host country. It is a ripple effect. Once we are hit by a crisis, as I said before, the country would naturally go into a shell to make sure that it can recuperate the situation in the country in itself, than catering to the international needs or international relations. The deglobalization can be defined by the ripple effect on the international international relations, the global market and the global supply chain, because the economies in the world now are interconnected, and more than being individual, it is a global trade that really runs the world and not just the individual trade that runs the world. So breakdown of the global supply chain is what I'm referring to as deglobalization, is what it is.
All right. Next, we have Sukhman. You have the floor for the next 2 minutes.
So am I audible, ma'am?
Yes, you are.
Good morning and namaste to all. I am Sukman Bawa from Bhavani. And as the topic for today's discussion is revival of the broken economy, it will be great if we talk about ways to revive the economy while keeping in mind the livelihood issues of vulnerable sections of society. Urgent concern should be addressed by the food and cash transfer. After that, for livelihood rural area, Manrega can be of great help. In the urban area, a scheme based on lines of Manrega should be suggested. In the end, some ways to increase revenue should be suggested. So, 5 simple things to do to revive the economy are: restructure PSBs in line with the private sector banks, treat 42 food parks and rural markets as priority sector investments, build 100,000 water storage reservoirs to recharge aquifers annually, implement a long-term energy security plan, simplify GST and reduce 4 tax slabs to 2 slabs. India's economy hasn't been this bad in 42 years. Pulling it back from the abyss will require more honesty than imagination. So more ways to revive the Indian economy are: providing every household with 7,000 per month for a period of 3 months, and every individual with 10 kg of free food grains per month for a period of 6 months is likely to cost around 3% of our GDP. This could be financed immediately through larger borrowing by the center from the Reserve Bank of India. The center should also clear outstanding and services tax compensation. Millions of migrant workers have gone back home and are unlikely to return to towns in the foreseeable future. Employment has to be provided to them where they are. The 100-day limit per household has to go. Work has to be provided on demand without any limit to all, and the permissible work, not just agriculture and construction work, but work in rural enterprises and in case care activities too. Public banks could provide credit to such panchayat-owned enterprises and also assume a nurturing role vis-a-vis them. Pandemic highlighted unsustainability of the earlier globalization, which means that growth in India in coming days is sustained by the market. Thank you.
All right, Sukhman, I've received a question for you, which is, considering the fact that speakers have again and again talked about relief packages, don't you think that there's a need to develop the economy by opening it? It's the same question he had for the previous speaker, but he has the same question for you.
Look, uh, now that now, up till now, I think lockdowns have been there. 3 lockdowns have been there, so they have taught us enough to how to cope with this COVID-19 situation. Now, if they open the economy and now the situation of unlock one is there, so it is not that much harmful, because once we are in habit of our maneuvers have changed. Our We are more careful. So now that's it. Yeah.
All right. Lastly, is there Latika in the chat room?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Yes, Latika, I can hear you. You have the floor for the next 2 minutes.
Okay, ma'am. Okay, good afternoon, all of you. Myself, Latika here. I want to just by saying the starting like that, the challenge of economists to be strong but not rude, be kind but not weak, be bold but not bullying, be thoughtful but not lazy, be humble but be proud but not arrogant, have humor but without folly. So I want to start my introduction by saying that the already slowing Indian economy is now faced with coronavirus, a global pandemic which is fast turning into an economic pandemic. Okay, the economic impact of COVID-19 will be a function of magnitude and speed at which it spreads and duration over which it lasts within India and across the globe. So now I want to just tell you about the economic impact of COVID-19 is still unfolding, like in the case of the demand and supply. Okay, the 201, the 2019 coronavirus disease, although pandemic, is fast turning into a global economic pandemic. Its economic costs are likely to be massive across the world in India. The March 2020 issues of economy watch discusses the economic impact of COVID-19. The International Monetary Fund, that is IMF, has observed that the COVID-19 pandemic will lead to be a global recession in 2020 that will be at least as served the downturn during the economic and financial crisis of 2008. Yet now, Moody's Investor Service has projected the global GDP to contract by minus 0.5% in 2020. Previously, the OECD, that is the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, in interim economic assessment, revised down its global growth projections to 1.55% in 2020 due to the already adverse effect of economic of COVID-19. Okay, the next about the United States Conference and Trade Development estimated a shortfall to Thailand in the global economic of an account crisis, billion loss to developing the country. The Institute of International Finance (IFF) has downgraded its global growth projection to 1.6% for 2020. Now, its impact of Indian economy is related to the demand and the supply side disruptions. As we see that before the onset of COVID-19 pandemic, across the world in India, the economy was slowing down with a yearly GDP growth rate of 4.7%. Although the growth rate was estimated is about 4.7%, and it may be revised significantly because of the economic and health effects of COVID-19. ICRA has projected a growth of 2%. Its impact will be a function of magnitude, speed at which it spreads, a duration over which it lasts with India and across the globe. Thank you. And this was my introduction relating to the how the structure of Indian economy has the revival impact of economy. Thank you. Any questions?
All right. Gurdeep has sent a question, but we will be taking this question after a short break. All the faculty members and teachers have been present here since 10:45. So we are going to take a short break and we will be coming back online exactly in the next 10 minutes, right? The session details for that sessions will be sent in the group. Everyone just this time check your connection so that we can come back online quicker than the last time. Is that okay?
Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
All right, all right.
अब बोलो आप